At the time...
James Arness became a television legend thanks to his portrayal of Marshal Matt Dillon in the enduring Western series Gunsmoke. Yet his off-screen reality was far from the typical Hollywood fairy tale. His towering frame and stoic demeanor captivated audiences for 2 decades, but behind that rugged exterior lay a man shaped by hardship, heartbreak, and hidden struggles. Even as he rose to unparalleled fame, he battled personal demons and complex family dynamics that few fans would ever witness firsthand. This story will uncover some of the surprising depths of Arness's life, focusing on the tragic losses and controversies that shadowed his success. Born James King Arness on May 26, 1923, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, he faced early hurdles that would shape his character. Growing up during the Great Depression was no simple feat, and he learned resourcefulness and determination from a young age. Even as a boy, he possessed an imposing height that made him stand out. Some recalled that he towered over classmates, though he was said to be shy and reserved. His path to acting was hardly straightforward. Rumor has it he initially aspired to be a naval pilot, but his lofty stature disqualified him, nudging him toward other pursuits. World War II left its mark on Arness when he was drafted and saw combat in the Battle of Anzio. A serious leg wound forced him to endure multiple surgeries, ultimately granting him a Purple Heart. That harrowing experience may have instilled in him a quiet resolve that later informed the laconic presence he exuded on screen. After returning stateside, he dabbled in radio and small acting roles, hoping to find a calling that fit his unique persona. By chance, a meeting with influential figures in Hollywood set him on a track that would alter his destiny forever. As the story goes, Arness gained the attention of John Wayne, who recognized something special in the towering newcomer. Some whispered that Wayne personally recommended him for the lead in Gunsmoke, believing Arness possessed the commanding aura necessary to bring Marshal Dillon to life. In 1955, the Western premiered on CBS, and Arness became an overnight sensation. Viewers across America were entranced by his unwavering portrayal of justice on the frontier. Yet while the public clung to his iconic cowboy image, Arness's private world was a maze of emotional battles, secret anxieties, and eventual heartbreak. Before the fame truly took hold, James crossed paths with Virginia Chapman, also known as Jenny, who was forging her own acting and modeling ambitions. They both hailed from Minnesota and reportedly shared a mutual love for nature. Over time, their bond grew into a romance rooted in a desire to escape Hollywood's frenetic pace. Despite his budding career, Arness craved genuine human connections, and he found that in Jenny, whose charm and compassion complemented his introspective nature. The two wed in 1950, intending to build a family life anchored by love and mutual respect. At first, that marriage seemed strong. Both were enthralled by the possibilities of a quiet domestic life, even as Arness's career demands became more intense. They had 3 children, Craig, Rolf, and Jenny Lee, and worked to shield them from the chaotic glare of celebrity. Some acquaintances would later say that James was fiercely protective of his children, determined to offer them a stable environment. Nevertheless, rumors emerged of tension sparked by long filming schedules and the constant attention that dogged the rising star. Friends claimed that Jenny sometimes struggled to cope with the abrupt transitions between normalcy and public scrutiny. Despite such rumors, James and Jenny maintained a relatively private existence, refusing to court tabloid headlines. Their weekends often involved fishing trips, family barbecues, and quiet moments away from cameras. By all accounts, these early years contained deep happiness, even as subtle pressures simmered. Hollywood insiders whispered that James's unwavering dedication to Gunsmoke led to missed family gatherings, breeding resentment. Others said that Jenny, a talented performer in her own right, yearned for more recognition. Yet none of these claims were ever confirmed by the couple, who favored discretion over fueling gossip. As the 1960s wore on, Gunsmoke became a juggernaut, securing its place as one of television's longest-running dramas. Arness was firmly established as a household name, and his steady performance left little room for professional missteps. However, the personal cost was mounting. Some speculated that the emotional distance created by James's workload widened cracks in his marriage. Jenny, quietly battling her own challenges, found herself increasingly overshadowed by the Marshal Dillon persona. Certain acquaintances recounted that she felt a sense of isolation, despite living alongside one of the era's biggest TV stars. Tragedy would soon strike the Arness household in a way that no career triumph could mitigate. Jenny was diagnosed with cancer in the mid-1970s. Medical details remained private, but insiders spoke of a valiant fight that took a toll on the entire family. Arness reportedly juggled filming commitments with hospital visits, though friends claimed he was racked with guilt over not spending enough time at home in the preceding years. Despite the unrelenting challenge of the disease, Jenny tried to remain a comforting presence for her children, who struggled to cope with the possibility of losing their mother. In March of 1977, she passed away, leaving Arness reeling. Those close to him described a profound heartbreak that threatened to erode his stoic public demeanor. He honored her memory quietly, seeking solace in private reflection rather than public displays of mourning. Fans of Gunsmoke had always viewed him as an unflappable figure, yet the devastation in his personal life painted a poignant picture of vulnerability. Speculation arose that Arness contemplated stepping away from the spotlight altogether. Some said he wanted to retreat into solitude, far from the reminders of what he had lost. However, life had another cruel twist in store for the already grieving actor. Just 2 years before Jenny's death, in 1975, tragedy befell his daughter Jenny Lee. The younger Jenny had grown up under the shadow of her father's fame. By her early 20s, she began grappling with substance issues that alarmed those who knew her. The bright and hopeful girl who once had a promising future seemed to drift into a spiral of destructive behavior, and Hollywood's party culture did little to help. Some blamed the easy access to detrimental influences. Others believed underlying emotional distress played a role. According to reports, Jenny Lee was found after she OD'd on drugs just days shy of her 25th birthday. Details remained sparse, as Arness fiercely guarded his family's privacy, but insiders say he was shattered by the news. Already known for his reserved demeanor, he withdrew even further, grappling with the impossible task of processing the loss of a child. Friends mentioned that the guilt consumed him, as he reflected on whether his demanding career prevented him from recognizing the severity of her struggles. In this respect, the stoic gunslinger on television was just a grieving father in real life. Some critics and armchair observers speculated about whether Jenny Lee's tragic outcome could have been averted. Rumors circulated that she had sought help multiple times, only to feel overshadowed by her father's celebrity. Others insisted that Arness had tried to intervene, though quiet pleas for support may have fallen short. The blame game spilled into tabloids, creating sensational headlines about the private torment of the iconic actor. Through it all, Arness maintained his characteristic silence, refusing to publicly address the details of his daughter's passing. The heartbreak lingered, compounded by the subsequent loss of his wife. In the aftermath of these back-to-back tragedies, Arness found himself at a crossroads. Some suggested he sought therapy to cope with the crushing weight of grief, while others believed his solace lay in the outdoors, where he could reconnect with nature as he had done in his youth. Meanwhile, Gunsmoke had ended its historic run in 1975, allowing him a chance at respite. Freed from the relentless production schedule, he explored smaller roles and guest appearances, but never truly reclaimed the massive popularity he once held. For many fans, that was unthinkable. How could a star of his caliber not bounce back? Yet for Arness, the trajectory was clear. Personal healing took precedence over professional ambition. The heartbreak he endured had shifted his priorities. In 1978, he married Janet Surtees, a tennis enthusiast and entrepreneur. This relationship initially appeared to be a bright spot. Onlookers wondered if it might restore some sense of normalcy to his life. Rumors circulated that they bonded over a mutual desire for privacy and a simpler existence, away from the glare that had proven so harsh. Yet some cynics questioned whether Arness was truly ready for a new commitment after the emotional tumult he had suffered. For a time, their marriage seemed peaceful, providing Arness a reason to smile again. They avoided large public gatherings and rarely gave interviews. Friends said it was a period of quiet contentment for him. However, by the late 1990s, cracks emerged in the union. The couple divorced in 1998 under circumstances never fully disclosed. Speculation ranged from irreconcilable differences to the lingering emotional baggage that Arness carried. The man who once epitomized unwavering masculinity on screen had now endured 2 failed marriages, along with the loss of a child. To outsiders, it seemed he had been dealt more than any one person should bear. During these latter years, Arness receded from public life, occasionally appearing at fan conventions for Western aficionados, but largely avoiding the press. Some fans were disheartened, longing for the days when he filled their living rooms as the steadfast Marshal. Others respected his choice, acknowledging that a life shaped by so much sorrow merited a quieter chapter. Whispers about his health abounded, with some claiming he struggled with mobility issues stemming from his wartime injuries. Whatever the case, his small circle of close friends and family maintained a tight-lipped stance, protecting him from undue intrusion. Controversies occasionally bubbled up, fueled by those who claimed to have inside information about his personal relationships. One rumor asserted that tension between Arness and certain Gunsmoke co-stars created a rift lasting decades. Another story alleged that he harbored bitterness toward the network for perceived slights. While some tabloids ran these narratives, none were definitively confirmed, and Arness never engaged publicly with them. In that sense, the stoic hero fans saw on television meshed perfectly with the private man who refused to air grievances. He seemed content letting speculation come and go without intervention. What remains undeniable is the magnitude of Arness's influence on television history. Gunsmoke redefined the Western genre, setting a template that countless series would follow. Marshal Dillon was neither flashy nor bombastic. Instead, he embodied a moral code that resonated across generations. Perhaps Arness's real-life experiences informed his portrayal: a soldier wounded in war, a father devastated by loss, and a man wrestling with the immense pressure of fame. That gravitas seeped into every episode, lending a unique depth to the stoic frontier lawman. Even after the series ended, reruns introduced new viewers to Arness's quiet intensity. Behind that success, however, lay a man shaped by sorrow. The 1970s were marked by one personal tragedy after another, culminating in a pain that no amount of professional triumph could overshadow. Some have called him a tragic figure in Hollywood, a performer who attained unprecedented heights yet never truly found peace. Others argue he was simply human, confronting the same heartbreak that any person might face, albeit under a very public microscope. Regardless, his resilience in continuing to forge ahead, even as heartbreak mounted, speaks to a formidable spirit. After his divorce from Janet Surtees, Arness guarded his solitude and rarely offered glimpses into his day-to-day life. A few interviews revealed he found solace in writing letters and reflecting on simpler times. He reconnected with friends from Minnesota, occasionally hosting them for relaxed visits filled with reminiscing about fishing spots and childhood memories. The tragedies he endured remained part of his story, but he rarely expressed bitterness. Instead, he carried on, determined to remember happier moments rather than dwell on what might have been. Some who visited him remarked on the tranquility he managed to cultivate in his later years. As time marched on, younger generations discovered Arness through classic TV channels, marveling at the tall Marshal with an unwavering sense of justice. Meanwhile, older fans still revered him as a staple of their youth. This dual legacy, bridging nostalgia and historical significance, kept his name alive. Every so often, new revelations or rumors would surface. Claims of hidden diaries, lost letters, or unresolved family feuds. Yet nothing concrete ever emerged to change the established understanding of the hardships he lived through. In a sense, the secrecy only heightened the mythic aura surrounding his personal life. Some watchers have questioned how Arness might be remembered if not for the overshadowing tragedy of his wife and daughter. They argue that we might focus solely on his accolades: 7 top 10 finishes for Gunsmoke in the ratings, Emmy nominations, and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, rather than his private sorrow. However, tragedies of such magnitude leave an indelible mark, shaping the man behind the role. It is possible that his portrayal of Marshal Dillon gained a deeper resonance precisely because he knew heartbreak intimately. In that sense, his performance on screen was inseparable from his real experiences off-screen. Even in the face of so much grief, he pressed on with smaller projects, including a few Western TV movies and cameo appearances. His fans appreciated these glimpses, savoring any chance to see him don a cowboy hat once more. Still, he never recaptured the unstoppable momentum of earlier decades. Critics surmise that after Gunsmoke, his heartbreak and subsequent retreat limited his willingness to chase stardom. For Arness, genuine peace seemed a greater priority than continued fame, and perhaps that decision saved him from further emotional strain. He had already lost so much, and clinging to a relentless spotlight might only amplify the pain. One aspect often overlooked is the role played by James's son, Rolf, who also navigated the pitfalls of having a famous father. Rolf Arness gained recognition in surfing, winning a world surfing championship. The father and son reportedly shared moments of bonding through that unexpected path, offering Arness a connection to a world far from the dusty streets of Dodge City. Though overshadowed by tragedies involving other family members, Rolf's success stood as a counterpoint, suggesting that not every chapter of the Arness story ended in heartbreak. That slice of positivity might have been a comforting beacon for James in his later years. Despite the challenges, James Arness never fell into obscurity. Even though he rarely courted headlines, his enduring fan base kept his memory alive. Conventions celebrating Western TV shows frequently extended invitations, and while he sometimes declined, his occasional appearances thrilled lifelong devotees. In interviews, he maintained an understated gratitude, often deflecting praise by crediting his co-stars and the writers of Gunsmoke. That humility, combined with the stoicism shaped by profound personal loss, characterized his final public image. A man who had given much to the entertainment world, yet asked for little in return. In 2011, James Arness passed away at the age of 88, quietly at his home in Los Angeles. The cause was attributed to natural health complications. Tributes poured in from fans, colleagues, and admirers who praised the magnitude of his influence on American television. Many paid respects by acknowledging not only his iconic role, but also the fortitude he displayed in the face of personal tragedy. No official public funeral was held, consistent with his lifetime preference for privacy. In a final letter left to fans, he wrote of gratitude for their unwavering support, a fitting farewell from the modest star. Though his personal life was fraught with sorrow, James Arness remains a towering figure in television lore. He exemplified both the classic Western hero and a man burdened by unthinkable grief. From the heartbreak of losing his daughter to the anguish of seeing his wife pass away, he confronted trials that could have broken anyone. Yet he carried on, finding pockets of love and moments of peace amid the chaos. His legacy offers more than just the memory of a steadfast marshal. It stands as a reminder that behind the brightest lights, real human stories unfold, stories of resilience, heartbreak, and the enduring hope that, even in our darkest moments, it is possible to stand tall. Yet, for all the shocking truths that surfaced in his private life, fans never wavered in their admiration. Even today, collectors avidly seek Gunsmoke memorabilia, and forums light up with personal anecdotes from those who encountered Arness. In remembering him, people often embrace both his victories and his deepest sorrows. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.